This is In the Dirt with ASOTU.
This is how you have a conversation at the NADA show.
Come on.
You all are friends of TrueCar, know how to do it right. Alan, thanks for joining us. Matt Jones, thanks for joining us again. Always fun to have you here.
Absolutely.
And just hoping we lay back a little bit and talk about what we see. You all have a unique perspective on the industry that a lot of us don't have. So how we can share some of those perspectives to help dealers make some better decisions. So thanks for being here with us.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Alan, why don't you? You've been in the business a little bit longer than me. Why don't you start?
Just an introduction, or what do you want to
hit 'em with
Who
it.
are
Hit
you
'em
and
with
what
it.
do you do?
Yeah, I head up business development for TrueCar. I've been in this business all of my adult life. I started in a dealership, and I'll tell you how long ago it's been. I sold Geos, brand new Geos.
Geo Metro.
That's right.
Those are the cars you look like you can flip
You
it
can
over.
flip 'em.
I want to see Matt get in the Geo
I would
Metro.
try to squat a Geo.
He would squat it. He wouldn't get in it. He'd just be like, I'm not getting in that
He'd
one.
get in it, punch his feet through the floor, and then pick it up. Fred Flintstone style.
Look, trying to be effective with money.
There you
So
go.
I sold new and used. I did F&I and aftermarket, and then I got into the finance end of it. Worked in non-prime auto finance for a number of years, and ultimately found myself at TrueCar. And I feel where we are in the industry, it's such an interesting time. It's just we've seen so much change, and just in the last 3 or 4 years than lots of people might see in their entire career. So just real excited.
Isn't that wild? I mean, you for you being in the industry 30 plus years, saying I've seen a lot of change. I mean, you went through recessions and you've been through all of it, and just to say like the last 3 or 4 years has been a ton of change. That's a big statement. I feel like
It really is. It's really starting to accelerate, and I think that understanding where we're headed is more challenging now than it ever has been. You can't just draw the line out and see exactly where we're going to be.
Yeah,
I've only been in the business for 20 years, or 22, right? Only, right? It's like a lifetime, but it's only 22 years. This business moves quick.
Yeah.
And I think of the business with all the change we're talking, it's like our industry is like in puberty. Like this is like a rough time. Like we're learning, we're growing, but we're about to hit a growth spurt. You know, we had a very interesting past 3 years that are going to really impact the rest of our trajectory as an industry, kind of like how that does as we're growing as humans. I always
That's
like
a
to compare
really
things to humans.
interesting metaphor, because you think about it, you kind of you grow up and you realize you kind of feel like you know who you are.
Yes,
Right?
right.
And then everything starts to change, and then you're like, who am I?
Yes.
And then you get through that and you realize this is who I really am.
This is who I really am.
Yeah.
And I think as an industry, that's where we're headed to.
That's so interesting, because like Paul and I were talking, and we said like think back to, let's go 5-7 years ago, back in like even at NADA or at any other the trade shows or online, and we're talking digital retailing, we're talking attribution, we're going to be shut down because of autonomous driving,
Right.
because of
Dude, that was the
ride
conversation.
sharing, right?
That was the conversation like 5 years
and there
ago.
was this, and now some of that stuff is almost like you don't even hear it at
Right.
the show.
Right.
You know
It's
what
like
the
it
big one
doesn't
was?
even exist anymore.
Right.
The big one was millennials aren't going to buy cars.
No,
Yeah,
no,
never.
they don't want
Largest buying demographic, right?
Right.
that. Major car sharing. I wish we could like roll back and just listen to. There was doomsday being preached at NADA 5 years ago. What are we going to do? It's going to be about cost per mile and not about vehicle ownership.
Well, you know, maybe for 1.5% of the buyers out there, it is. But for everybody else, right? This is very similar. It's different, but similar to what it has been, but just more grown, more tools, more resources, like a person who is actually hitting their stride. And that's how I think of that change, is really put it. I mean, none of us are going to say that online shopping is not going to be a fixture in automotive. We all know that it's going to be. It's not, so it is a part of who we are going forward. That's what I'm saying. Like, these changes have been made. I think it's an interesting time. Really looking forward to 2023, because I think we're going to get back to some normalcy that we're kind of used to. Hopefully lots of cars, hopefully lots of transactions, hopefully a lot of shopping in person, online. So I'm incredibly excited about where the future lies for H1 and H2. I think this is a really fun time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So you all have a perspective, because you get to see so much data, right? That everyone doesn't. Like, certain dealers and regions can see what they have, right? There's a lot of conversation around first party data and seeing your own, understanding your own stuff. But if you zoom out a little bit, you can see some macro trends across the country and in regions. Is there anything you can share with us about some of those things you're seeing that maybe dealers can take as a little bit of as an advisement to just even start thinking about, you know, the way they're doing things?
There's an emerging group of shoppers And we've seen this in our industry. We had people who came in that were price shoppers. We know how to sell them. They come in, they're payment shoppers. Well, we know how to work that type of deal. There's this new generation of shopper that indexes on the process. I'm not sure what I want to buy, but I know how I want to buy it. And they will start making exclusions at the top of their consideration to say, based on what options do I have? When do I need to engage? How much can I do on my own? What happens when I raise my hand and need help? Who's there to help me, and what do they want me to do? That's the thing that we're seeing emerge, and we see it in other verticals, right? We know you see a product that you're really interested in, you see it in your feed, or a friend tells you about it, but you go to Amazon and put in the name of the product.
There it is.
Why? Because you a process shopper. That's how you're thinking about how you
put it in. If they have it, I do this, I get it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point, because I think what's interesting is, like, we went initially as an industry to price and payment is all about whether or not I can like just show something to someone, and so there's a lot of like technology, there's a lot of efficiency involved, and whether or not that happens, get your price online. And then we went, okay, now I see that there's a whole nother ecosystem of process that has to be involved. But what I think is, when I'm hearing you say this, is like, the closer, the further we get from technology and we go to process, the closer we're actually getting to people, right? And it's like, not just how I want to buy, but who I'm going to buy from. And one of the really cool things that TrueCar has done recently, you kind of did this, like, getting into the community, giving back, and I think that you're like a couple things that Matt has told us about, of like getting back to the community, and TrueCar actually doing that, kind of paving a road for dealers to do the same. Because I think the next step for people is probably going from, oh, that's how I want to buy, to that's who I want to buy from, right?
And in a space where there's 60,000 dealers, is that about right? If you talk about franchise,
including independents too,
right?
yeah.
Yep. It really is going to come down to, quite often, process, who's going to give it to me the way that I want, and who do I want to engage with, and for what reasons. There are companies that we're all consumers, right? Everybody who's watching this is a consumer, and all of us have chosen to do business or opt to not do business with somebody for whatever particular reason, right? So when we think about our own experiences as human beings, and we put that into a public company's experience and how we want to meet our consumers, we want to help people understand what we all say in the car business: people buy from people. Yep. People buy from people that they like, right? Yep. So we want to lead the charge by being out there and showing all of these different demographics that are sometimes overlooked in popular advertising, popular media. We want to make sure that they have a voice. We want to make sure that they're looked at and talked to. And hopefully, we already know that our dealers are the pillars of communities, but also more dealers will chip in, and more dealers will follow suit and be just a good steward. It's not just because it's the right thing to do, but it also makes good business sense.
Absolutely.
My son played baseball in high school, and if I saw an advertisement from a dealership at my son's baseball field, well, guess where I'm probably going to put all my considerations.
Absolutely.
Right? So we have to, what is it? Love people
more than you love cars.
So as our company becomes more comfortable with that term, we always have been, but we're looking to kind of lead the way from a corporate responsibility standpoint. We're people first. And that's why this process conversation is so important, because it's more than numbers, it's more than price, it's more than payment. People have a way that they want to get down, and if they're process driven, I think we've been tool driven. Right?
Yeah.
But maybe we need to start looking more.
We were talking to a dealer yesterday, and he said something, and we kind of latched onto it. And he says it's time for our technology to serve our process, and not our process serving our technology. And that kind of like resonated with us real quick.
Right.
And because when you look back, we were talking about NADA 5 years ago, but you look as technology's, been on the upswing as far as its deployment in just about every step of dealership life. Kind of the appeal of it is that the technology is going to fix a problem. And so plugging it in or getting a hammer and pounding it into a spot, because, like at first glance, it looks like it belongs there, but not considering what that does to the rest of the process has got us in this place. Like you said, like we've gone through this puberty stage, and now we're trying to figure out who we really are. Yeah. And I think the conversation has always been circling back to this like oh, the process is the closest to what where the person actually is.
Technology should hide the complexity and not produce the complexity. And think about the things we buy and how we buy them. I don't know the first thing of how those packages show up at my door.
Right.
You're like,
the magic Amazon Oompa Loompas.
Right?
But if you have a trusted experience and trusted stakeholders in the experience, then as a consumer, it frees you to focus on the things that you really care about and what really interests you, and you don't worry about that part of it.
We have at our studios in Syracuse, a visual effects artist just moved to Syracuse, and he led visual effects on like Lord of the Rings, and he developed the 3D panel technology behind The Mandalorian and all the way Disney shooting. And he came in and he talked to our group, and what he said, he shows his highlight reel, right? And it's just like everything from like The Matrix to Lord of the Rings and all these shots. We're like, that was you. And he said this. He goes, oh, my best work is the work you've never seen. To your point.
Yeah.
And I was like, I see what you're saying there.
That's unbelievable.
I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And so that really does tie in with the fact when the technology is good enough, you don't even notice it's there.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it though. Yeah, I don't know how that process works either. When I need some blue lotion, I said lotion because I'm feeling kind of ashy right now.
No, everybody is.
You know,
at
because
NADA.
we're getting dried
You're
out
gonna
right
start seeing
here.
a lot of chapped lips tomorrow. By tomorrow, it's over.
But yeah, it's the process that drives me. It's not that I don't necessarily want to go to Vons, right? It's not that I don't want to do this, but I like the process. And there's other online but I like the process, and I don't. Yeah, it's just there, and it's invisible.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So just like, do me a favor, encourage some dealers. What would you encourage people with in this next year? Because all of this like change has been happening, and like you've been on the franchise side and the vendor side and the partner side. What are you charging dealers with?
This is going to sound crazy.
In the light of that,
have the courage to doubt yourself. Have the courage, right?
Someone put that on a shirt, y'all.
Have the courage to consider that everything that you've accumulated up to this point,
someone say a thing,
might be no longer valid.
Yeah.
Wow. As the situation changes, as our industry evolves, things that we believe. I'll tell you a real quick story, and I'll date myself again.
At this point, I'm like,
I know.
So I sold Chevys and Geos and Hyundais at my first dealership, and we used to get program cars from the rental car companies. We got a big shipment of Chevy Corsicas. Again, this was back in the day.
I love this. Bring me all. I can actually smell what a Corsica smells like right now.
Yeah, you can.
You know exactly what I mean.
So I get a phone up, and the guy says, "Hey, I was driving past the lot. I saw this gray-green one. And what can I buy that car for?" And I'm Greenpeace salesperson. I'm 2 months in the business. I get all excited. I put the phone down. I run over to the tower. I'm like, I think this guy's really interested. He's on the Corsica out there on the point, and he wants to know what he can buy it for. My sales manager looks down his glasses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this. We don't give out prices over the phone. If he wants to buy the car, he can come down here and I'll tell him what he can buy it for. He would not recognize our business right now. But what he knew at that time, so we don't sell cars over the phone. That was an article of faith at that time.
Yep.
Right.
So here's the thing. What are the things that the four of us believe are articles of faith right now?
Whoa.
That a year from now we're going to look back and say to us, man, you remember when we thought millennials were going to buy cars?
Doubt yourself. He gone. It's too much for one.
It's too much.
Too much for
one 15-minute setting. Man, Alan.
Don't look at me. There's nothing I'm going to say after that.
I saw you like winding up and be like, nah.
No,
That's it.
Yeah, what are we going to put a bow
No,
on?
there's nothing.
Man,
Nothing.
it's just been fun.
Nothing.
Have the courage to doubt yourself. I can't wrap that any better. Alan, Matt, thanks for hanging out with us.
Oh,
This has been
thanks for
great,
giving us
guys.
the
I really
space.
appreciate this.
You guys are rock stars. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for the time here.
Thanks for watching this episode of In the Dirt with ASOTU. If you're new to our channel, make sure and mash that like and subscribe button. Also, check out some of these links for our other great podcasts and content.